Good morning, Desert Sands Unified School District. My name is Sean Webb, and I'm your Director of Community Engagement and the Foundation, and you're watching Classroom Conversations. We got a special episode here. We're going to focus on mindfulness in schools as our topic, and we've got some great guests that are going to be joining us. But before we move on, I must thank the Desert Sands Educational Foundation for providing this platform, and I'd like to read their mission statement. The Desert Sands Educational Foundation secures funding and awards money to provide supplemental resources that enrich and enhance student learning in Desert Sands Unified School District. And their vision statement. In partnership with public and private sectors, Desert Sands Educational Foundation financially supports creative and innovative programs that enrich and enhance the educational experience in the academics, the arts, and extracurricular activities that engage all students and staff in Desert Sands Unified School District. And, as I stated there, we are in partnership with a lot of different groups and so forth. And as you know, we're in partnership with our Student Support Services, who are going to be joining us here shortly. But let me go ahead and bring on Chef Mary so we can continue on our show. Good morning, Chef Mary. How are you?
Good morning. I'm doing well. Thank you.
It looks like you've got a big, heavy sweater on. What's going on up there in Big Bear?
Well, it was 30 degrees this morning when I got up, and I heard through the grapevine that it snowed last night, but I wasn't privy to that.
oh my. You know, it is May 21st, right? I don't think we're supposed to have snow right now.
I know. Well, right now it's 35 degrees, so it's getting warmer.
Okay, I got you. Well, you know what? While I just put it up on screen there, I got to thank our partnership with CoachellaValley.com. This is Classroom Conversations. We are the community engagement show for Desert Sands Unified School District, where we bring on everything great Desert Sands. And we've got Chef Mary here. Chef Mary, did you hear about what we're doing with the vaccination clinics here in Desert Sands?
Yes, I did, and I think it's really helpful. And I see you had quite a turnout the other day.
Yeah, we had a great turnout for our vaccination clinic for 12 and over at La Quinta High School. We had 400 vaccinations. To my knowledge, we gave out, I think, pretty much all of them, like 375, and they were able to get the last 25 out as well. And here's something I want to share. I want to bring this up on screen. Give me 1 second here. We have a series of clinics that are coming up. And with that being said, let me bring this up. You can see that we have a series of clinics that are coming up for COVID-19 vaccine. Anyone 12 years of age and older is eligible. Let me take off this banner here so we can see it completely. But those are all the different school sites that are going to be offering them. You can see you can get it at Desert Ridge Academy on the 25th. And you can see you have multiple options, multiple times to go ahead. And we have that available for all of our families. You can register right there. This is a great partnership that we have. You can see we're doing this with Rite Aid for this one here. So plenty of opportunities and days for anybody that needs the vaccination for anyone 12 and over. We want to make sure that you, as Laura Fisher said to us, Mary, every shot and arm helps, right?
Yes,
totally helps. So we want to make sure that everybody has the opportunity to do so. Okay, let's kind of move on here. I want to go ahead and highlight our Twitter account. Bring this back up. So with Twitter, we got going on, this is One Future Coachella Valley. They've got a success campaign going on, okay, where you can have a chance to win up $500. And they've got prizes and so forth to talk about your summer road to college and career success. So you can attend workshops. These things are available for our students and staff, and you want to make sure to go ahead and check this out. And this is sponsored by all three surrounding school districts, all three of our districts.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, that's really good.
Definitely. Let's see here. Dr. Cook, last night we had the Desert Sands Leadership Academy graduation, but then we also had the, This is the Sands of Time. I'm not sure if you know what the Sands of Time is, Mary, but This is where we celebrated all of our retirees in the district. And that just happened the other night over at Shadow High School. And it was very special because we're actually in person. We're in there, we're in mass, we were socially distanced in the gymnasium floor, but it was just a great event to see all of our retirees one last time before they move on. You know who was there?
Kathy.
Yeah, Kathy was there.
I know. Yeah. She's such a great gal. I know she's excited about her new life.
Yes. Yeah, she told me she plans on spending a lot of time in Big Bear, and I wish her the best. You know, we worked out, we just had a great time with her when we worked with her.
Yeah, she was a great gal. I really enjoyed knowing her and working with her as well, and particularly her students.
Yeah. So I'll share real quick. Last night was a great event for the community here at let's see, in Old Town La Quinta, I'm the Leadership Coachella Valley president, and we had our graduation. And I was able to honor some people that have, helped me out throughout my process with Leadership Coachella Valley. It was my last function as the board president. And I was able to thank Mr. Bailey, who's helped along the way and obviously give me the opportunities to participate in LCV, as well as Dr. Cook. I went through LCV, Mary, I want to say one of the years that you were working at La Quinta. And if you remember, I missed a lot of Fridays. And that's because I was allowed to go. And I'll hands down say it, if not for that program, I may not have the job that I have now, because it just took my the amount of people that I knew and so forth and just exponentially grew it. And with that being said, I think it's just provided more and more opportunities for our students. So, once again, I want to give props to Dr. Cook and Mr. Bailey for allowing me the time to go ahead and participate in those types of programs.
Yeah, and I think that's part of our networking that you and I always enjoy doing.
Yeah, definitely. Most definitely. But why don't we go ahead and move on? We got some special guests this morning, Mary. We've got some special guests from our Student Support Services. They're going to talk about mental health. And more importantly, they're going to talk about something that you and I were discussing backstage with the sale of your house, a little anxiety going on, and some of the things that people sometimes do when dealing with anxiety. So what I'd like to do is go ahead and bring our team from, actually real quick, before we bring on the team, you've got a special hello here, Mary.
Oh, my sister. Oh, good morning, Carol.
There we go. So I always love seeing a bright smile on your face. Let me go ahead and bring on the rest of the team here so we can welcome them. With us, we've got Yadira, Perry, and Elena. How are you guys doing?
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. Good to see you.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning. So I'll say, I was mentioning backstage, I love that we've been having this focus, not just in the month of May, with it being Mental Health Awareness Month, but we've been doing mental health awareness pretty much the whole school year. And I have to credit it to working with people like you that want to make sure to get this information out. So thank you for participating today. Mary, we've got an exciting morning, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, we do. And, all of this really makes a lot of sense right now. I think students and family and, even for me, all of a sudden you are going back to being around people and having our students go back to school and how that affects, even them leaving the house.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to hear from our committee, like, how is this going to start to happen and what should we expect? So let's get up to you, Perry.
Well, I think that if we look at it from the perspective of coming out of a pandemic, everyone's a little bit anxious right now. So it's something that we're getting back into the groove, so to speak, and becoming social again. So anxiety is a normal human experience, but what we're really talking about today is when it starts to interfere with your daily functioning, and if that does begin to happen, it's important to reach out and to get help early, and really that's our focus today, I think, for the whole team. And my area of expertise really is substance misuse, so I think that before we get into that part of it, I think that we should kind of discuss it with the entire team as far as what everyone is seeing is in regards to anxiety and students and or families.
Mm-hmm. Most definitely. And Elena, I believe you're going to share a little bit about anxiety and what's going on and so forth.
Absolutely. So I think it's important that our students and our families know that there is a difference between worries and anxiety. Where worries involve our thoughts, anxiety actually we feel throughout our body, right? And that is via physical symptoms. So a lot of times we hear our students saying that they're experiencing headaches, possibly stomach aches, maybe the racing heart, sweating, and also behaviors such as procrastination, right? And even avoidance of doing school assignments. These are all ways in which anxiety manifests itself in the school. Also, too, I think it's really important that we know that we do see a difference in the way our students, right, of different genders actually handle anxiety and manage it. So for our boys, our males, what we see sometimes is we see negativity, we might see anger, we might see defiance, shutting down emotionally. And so a lot of times when we see those behaviors, we attribute them to everything else except anxiety as educators. And so that's why it's so important for us to know the symptoms. And for females, we may be seeing things such as trying to achieve perfection, right? Either academically or via their looks. They feel, right, that they need to be perfect because of a lot of times what they see on social media. Also, they may be very high achieving, they may be over planning. And so these are some of the ways we see anxiety in our students. Oh, we can't hear you, Sean.
You figure I've been doing this over a year. I know what I'm doing here, right? And I'm sorry, I muted everybody because we had some feedback. I'll undo that now. Okay. But I'll tell you, I definitely experienced some of that too last night. I had an event that I normally don't do. It's the first time that I was the board president for something, and we had our graduation. And here I was. I can present like this all day long, and it's fine. The last time was the first time in over a year that I presented in front of a large group of people physically. Right. And I'll tell you, there wasn't a time that I didn't have sweat on my brow. There wasn't a time that I had sweat on my right above my mustache line there. Right. it was scary. Yes. For the first time doing it, and it went off well after I got into it and so forth. What are some of the maybe if somebody could share about some of the other things that are going on that maybe deal with the mental health condition, anxiety loss? What are some of the other things that maybe some people do in their lives to deal with anxiety and so forth? Does anybody want to maybe field that question?
I'd be happy to share. So since we've come back to school during hybrid, what we're seeing a lot from our students, even within the classroom, is them actually being on their cell phones. And then even coming out of the classroom, we see them as they're going to the next class being on their phones. And so what we're observing is that students are, like you said, Sean, right? Since they haven't had a lot of interaction with others, it's difficult even for them to engage other students here at school. Yeah. It's something that they're going to have to relearn, because what they're doing is, right, they're going to the cell phone, focusing on that versus actually socially engaging with peers. And so that is something that we're seeing how students are handling it here in school.
Yeah, Elena, I think what I'm seeing happening too is, I think when your anxiety level gets up there, which I'm kind of there, is that you almost sort of have this distrust around you, which is kind of weird. Like, is this really happening? Are they really working on it for me? And do you see that with students as well?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that question, Mary?
I think with a level of anxiety, I mean, especially like with where I am right now, that I sometimes have this feeling of distrust. Like, is it really happening? Is it really going to happen? Is it really being truthful? You sort of doubt. You doubt yourself, and I'm wondering if that's happening in the school, and if you're able to get around that.
Absolutely. So I think what you're speaking to is many times, right, even our students especially, but even adults, we may have all of these feelings, but we don't know what it is. We don't know the name, right, what it is exactly and how to name it and label it. And so we just have these feelings and we just think it's about us. This is something about me. And that's what I really love about doing our anxiety groups, right, at school. And by the way, while school closure was happening, we actually were able to do our anxiety groups virtually for our students. But once we have our students in the anxiety groups, we can provide a lot of education to them about anything from, starting from effective communication and how to communicate your needs to what your needs are, right down to identifying your negative self-talk. So yes, absolutely, Chef Mary, a lot of it has to do with knowing yourself and knowing what's happening so that you can say, okay, this is what it is and this is how I have to get help.
Okay, cool. You're muted.
And I keep on doing that. Sorry, guys. There's a lot of static going on. Sorry. You know, a lot of times I want to say I think it's outstanding that teachers and especially people in your field are able to notice these types of things. What are some of the, I don't know, share an experience of like how this is dealt with on campus? Maybe Yadira, if you could talk about what the process of a referral looks like and so forth.
Yeah, so I currently work at Palm Desert High School, and the first couple of months, all I did was focus on the culture, what was going on, right? And so we did discover that anxiety was very high, very prevalent. So we started building different, looking at our MTSS, what could we do to provide the level of support? Because I'm just one person and we had lots of children and staff that were experiencing anxiety. And this is pre-COVID, right? So we had to bring in different additional agencies to come and help us support. We were provided an additional staff from student supports program as an intern to help us out with groups for individual. And then once COVID hit and school closures, then we had to recreate and reinvent how we were going to provide these services, because we were in a non-traditional school year. And with that came a lot of adjustments and having to be creative. And so one of the things we had to do was, how are we going to reach the bulk of these students? Because now students that wouldn't clinically meet the criteria for anxiety were now hitting that threshold. Even staff were hitting that threshold. So how were we going to manage it? So we did a lot of videos. I would do videos, talk about normalizing anxiety, and our teachers would push it out during their classrooms. The counseling department is amazing here. They jumped on board and they partnered up with me and the PE department. And then we would go in there and do social emotional lessons during their classes, so that the majority of the students were receiving that level of support. And the ones that did not have PE or did not have an athletic period, they could join our office hours and still be able to provide that support and feel supported. We also had to get a little bit creative and how could we engage these students? Like Miss Elena mentioned, virtual groups. We weren't that successful here at Palm Desert High School with the virtual anxiety groups. Students were not so engaged with that. So what we started doing was having our admin and some security members and some members from the department, from athletics, and I would go up to them and record them doing some form of mindful movement and doing some form of anxiety reducing technique. And so then I would then publish that and share that out. And students were now seeing Mr. Brett or Mr. Reed, you know, and normalizing that we all experience it. And yes, maybe they looked funny at first, but hey, we're all human, right? And we all have to start somewhere. And so that kind of removed that stigma of, you know, I have to go see Miss Cuevas in her office. And no, this was across everybody, even at teachers, administration, students were all provided this level of support. So that was really helpful, and helpful for me, because then that responsibility of, you're the school therapist, you have to address this, didn't fall solely on me. They assisted me by, you know, everyone delegating and helping me out. And so there was that communication where I did have to provide the teachers and the staff with those coping skills so that they could in turn help the students out.
I think it's just fantastic that was happening over at Palm Desert. And then I also know that over at Indio High School, they were doing home visits and so forth.
Yes.
Do you guys know of any other home visits that were going on in the community, in the district and so forth, to help out with anxiety and help out with anxious students? I'll kind of toss that out there.
Sure, absolutely. At LQHS, our assistant principal, Mr. Jackson, right, part of our re-engagement plan was him going out and completing home visits to see what was going on in our students, you know, homes, their lives, to provide them the support needed to get them to return to school. So that has been wonderful. He's been a wonderful addition to our school. And, you know, we really appreciate that, because you get a very different snapshot, right, of what our students are going through. seeing them in our classroom versus seeing, right, them in their home environment. And I think, yes, that is very beneficial, Sean.
Yeah. No, definitely. And why I brought that up, one of our viewers said that Amistad did some home visits as well. So that's great to see that. And then I also want to bring up that our own Mary Perry is referencing our mission statement as a school district, that we nurture every student one opportunity at a time. And I feel like with individuals like yourself, we definitely do that even more so. Perry, I believe you're going to talk about some of the pre-COVID information.
Well, yes. I mean, I think that during distance learning, our students were, without as much direct support as they got when they were in the classroom. But, we had to consider how we were going to support our students via distance learning, and basically, a lot of I was like Yadira, we didn't really have much success, and the privacy issue was a big thing for me in dealing with groups related to substance misuse and things like that. So we did a lot of that outreach on a one-on-one basis via Zoom and even good old-fashioned telephone calls. But I think that the problem that we're facing is that from my perspective, substance misuse is a disorder it leads to isolation, and through this past year and a half, we've been isolated. So, it's important, I think, as well that what we were describing at the beginning of this conversation with both Chef Mary and Sean, you both experienced anxiety recently, and it's a normal reaction. It's a normal human reaction that we all experience, but how we're going to how we're going to deal with that, it can be either dealt with in a constructive way or a maladaptive way. And that's, when it comes to using or misusing substances, that's a maladaptive method of coping with a normal human experience. So, we're trying to get the word out there and educate students and parents alike regarding what's a healthy reaction to anxiety and what can be potentially damaging. So again, what we've all talked about here, simple things like getting out of the house, being social as much as possible. And now that we're starting to re-enter face-to-face school and just going out to dinner or something like that with the rest of the family. Getting enough sleep, relaxation techniques, even simple things like exercise and journaling, can help us channel these feelings of anxiety.
Now, I would say that I'm experiencing this right now, that I feel like students and children are going to do what they see every day. And one example I have for that is, and they fall into routine easily. One thing, an example is I've got a daughter who's almost 2 years old. And if I go in her room to change her and I don't turn on the light immediately, she stops and she points. She stops and points. I guess those are some of the things that I can recognize where she may have some future anxieties because it happens routinely. I go to change her and she does that. I'm guessing, what are some things that we can maybe, so adults can actively assist their students in being anxious or engaging in these types of things? What are some things that they could look for other than me just noticing, my daughter just pointing at the light every single time? What are some other things that we should be looking for as parents, as adults, with our students when it comes to being anxious, when it comes to, doing other things they shouldn't be doing to address the anxiety?
Yeah, and I kind of call those red flags because I wondered that question too.
Well, we all know our children, I think, as parents better than anyone. And so when we see dramatic or sometimes even subtle changes in behavior, sleep patterns, the tendency to isolate or, depression in our kids, then, it's time to have a conversation. let's talk about it, and let's see what's going on with our children. And I know that's challenging, especially in the teen years, because our teenagers are generally testing the boundaries and trying to become more independent. But it's a very important aspect of maintaining social connection, and our families are really at the center of that proactive support that we're always trying to nurture. And so if there's something going on that's unusual, who are your kids' friends? Who are they hanging around with? Any of these things, can be first a topic for conversation, and then if the conversation goes toward serious anxiety issues, then we can take the next step. And there's a lot of resources in our community that are available to students and their families. So we emphasize, talking to someone. There's no shame in that, none.
It seems like it always comes back to, Chef Mary, the word communication.
Mm.
Yeah, the word communication. The more and more you talk with your children, the more and more you talk with one another, things just kind of work out well, right? And they happen easier and so forth. Yeah.
Well, Sean, when I was in the culinary program, a couple of kids would come in, and you could kind of tell that they were not on their game that day. And sometimes I would just say, come on, let's just go for a walk around campus and talk about what was going on, and maybe share some of things, that I had experienced. And what I realized that it was just as good for me as it was for them, because you want to get it out. You're like, oh, geez, like I'm telling this stuff to this student, but you're trying to make a reference so they can find a place to put it. And I think, like with me, I think what you don't have control of, or what you have never done before, that's where that anxiety for me comes in, because normally I'm in control of everything I do. But I think with these students not knowing what to expect, if they have done it before, they can kind of go through it. But now it's all new to be back in school, and different rules, and even a different pattern when everybody leaves their home in the morning.
Chef Mary, you bring up a great point. So what you taught that student or those students is a healthy coping skill, right? Something as simple as take a break, go take a walk. I think as adults in our students' lives, right, whether we're parents or educators or possibly both, it's very important to note that we set the tempo. We are the ones that actually are going to teach our students, right, how to cope with anxiety and manage it in a healthy manner, because anxiety is very much a learned behavior. And so we need to first and foremost every morning check our own energy, check our own anxiety. How am I feeling today, right? Am I struggling with something? And if we are, then we might have to take 5 minutes to do some mindfulness, to do a little bit of meditation, to do some deep breathing, so that we can make sure that we are in a good place. Because those students, once they come through those doors, there is no better detector of energy than our students.
Yeah.
They know whether or not adults, right? They know whether adults are on point and in a good mood, and if they're not. And I've had students tell me over distance learning, when I say, okay, so you're struggling academically, what's going on? Let's reach out to your teacher. They themselves tell me, my teacher isn't approachable. They're not in a good mood. I actually can't. And so to me, I think to myself, wow, okay, we need as adults to be aware of the fact that we are the ones that model emotion regulation and how to manage our anxiety. Thank you for doing that, because you taught a very healthy coping skill there.
Yeah, and it was really fun. I mean, I enjoyed that, and it was nice to get out of the classroom too.
We see the root of the reason why she wanted to do that. I'll say at the district office here, I want to say it was during the month of February, they had a walking program, and they encouraged everybody to take 15-minute walks throughout the day. And I'll tell you, it was refreshing just to do that during my break, to just take a walk around campus, around the district office here, because it just kind of let me breathe and to accept what's going on and see everything that's beautiful outside and just kind of be there.
Yeah, and if I can just add, not all anxiety is bad. So as a clinician, just because I hear my son or my child is anxious, that I don't necessarily say, oh, bring in the Calvary, we need all this level of support. No, because it is a feeling, and it is just as a happy feeling. It's just as good as a bad negative feeling. And so what we're looking at is, how is it impacting their daily living? Are they not able to complete daily living things such as like getting up, going to school, going to work? Is it impacting those things? Is that anxiety now taking over? And that's when we want to intervene. For lower level stuff, all it takes is some simple relaxation techniques that we can do. We don't need a therapist to help us out with that. We can learn to manage that. And, you know, going back with what Ms. Elena is saying, as teachers, many times teachers are the first people that get to see these students. They know when little Johnny is having a bad day just by the way he walks in the door, right? So it goes both ways. They know what mood we're in, but we also can know what mood or what's happening. We may not know details, but we know maybe there was something wrong either at night or this morning, that now the student is acting a little different. And so what we've done is help teachers develop a process in each school site so that when they recognize or when they identify a student that this student may be experiencing anxiety, or this student may be experiencing some form of mental health or even substance misuse, that they can reach out and go through this protocol. So here at Palm Desert, the teachers can reach out to the counselors. The counselors will then complete a referral process. And then our case management team meets weekly, and we will review each case individually and say, does this student need tier 2 support? Do they need to go to a group? What have we tried? What interventions have we tried? And, you know, what would be the best level of support for this student? And then if we need to, then we move them to the next tier. Okay, well, then let's now have more intensive services. Or do we need to refer out and add supplemental support for the student? So educating our teachers too of what to look for and what to look, you know, they don't have to diagnose, but if they just have an inclination of, hey, there's something wrong, we do have these processes in place for them, you know. And before we end, I do want to go over some easy takeaways that we can have, you know, simple things that you don't need special training for, and it won't cost you much. And you can do this in the morning, in the afternoon, in your home, wherever. So I'm going to pick on Chef Mary, if that's okay. And okay. I'm going to demonstrate what something so simple can look like, you know. So this grounding exercise I actually use with my daughter, who's a 6th grader, and she's enjoyed it. One, because towards the end, she was really focused and really anxious, but then at the end, she was able to laugh about it. And so now that's kind of been our silly, okay, let's try this. It's called 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, don't worry, there's no blast off at the end or explosions or hypnosis, okay? So, Chef Mary, if you're sitting comfortably, okay, remember, there's no right or wrong answers. This is just trying to relax. And I know you're anxious because you're selling your home and weather and all these different things. So it might be a great time anyhow. So I want you to look around and name 5 things that you see around you. Remember, you're in a safe place. You're in your home. You're safe. So what are 5 things that you can see around you?
Well, I see my plant and my coffee cup and a painting that I like. I have 2 white pillows on the sofa. Okay. And I have a little Christmas tree on the fireplace.
Beautiful. Now let's shift your attention now and see if you can name 4 things that you can touch near you.
I can touch my phone. I can touch my remote. I can touch my mouse from my computer, and I'm touching my paperwork.
Beautiful. Now let's shift a little bit and see what are 3 things that you can hear.
I hear the stillness outside. I can hear the wind, and I hear this creaking on the floor.
Beautiful. Let's shift a little bit again. And what are 2 things that you can smell?
Oh, I smell my coffee, and I smell these little candles I got as a gift.
Beautiful. And last but not least, let's shift now to your mouth. What is 1 thing you can taste?
I am tasting my very strong coffee I just had.
Beautiful. So you just completed what we call 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 grounding technique. And this is something that we can use, on a daily basis with any age. And it's simple and it's easy. So thank you so much for demonstrating that. We also have other ones that are different types of breathing techniques. A typical deep breath. You inhale through your nose and exhale through your mouth. And the more progressive and the more mastery, there's different things. So we can do inhale for 4 seconds, hold it for 7 seconds, and exhale for 8 seconds. That's more mastery level. And the more starting point would be you inhale for 4 seconds, you hold your breath for 4 seconds, and exhale through your mouth for 4 seconds, and we start it again. And we call that 4 square breathing. Okay. Other things too are visual imagery. We can go on YouTube and type in relaxation music, and there's tons of them. If you're the water type, there's water music, there's nature. So there's different things you can do, and just practice those deep breaths and focusing really on being mindful of your breath. Is it hot? Is it cold? Is it going too fast? Do you need to slow down? And that's really helping us stay present and focused right here, right now. And we don't have to do it for long periods of time. You can do it for 2-3 minutes, and it can be helpful. So those are just a few of those takeaways that you can do as a parent, as an educator, as a peer. If you're having a friend who's becoming anxious, those are some of the quick things that you can do.
I love that those are.
Well, that's awesome.
They're very simple. They're very simple too.
Yes.
Very simple.
Yeah, and it was easy. It was easy. It did make me focus on. I didn't look at that. I didn't know the plant was sitting there.
Yeah.
There.
So you were able to be mindful, right, of your own surrounding, of your own time, and you're safe. You knew someone was there guiding you. You might have 100 viewers watching you, but still, you're still safe in your own place, right? And being mindful of all your senses.
It made me think about what you were asking me to do instead of just, it was kind of weird. It was like all of a sudden I had to think outside of that level. I just realized
it's a great distraction. If someone is ruminating on a perceived threat or danger that's not realistic, when you have them focus on something so simple as touch your head, touch your shoulders, or whatever, now you're breaking that distraction and refocusing that energy and that attention. And that's really all we're trying to do, is have these students learn how to refocus that energy and refocus on something that's right here, right now, in the present, not in the past, not in the future, but something that they can hold and control. And that's right now.
That's excellent. No, I'll tell you, I actually learned the 4 squared, you call it, the
Yes.
in 4, hold 4, out 4.
Yes.
I shared this earlier in the week. Last week when we had Mental Health Awareness Month. Who was it? Chief Jeff Kay had a training with Colonel Grossman. And Chief Jeff Kay used to be in charge of security years ago. Geez, I've been in the district a long time. And we had this training with Colonel Grossman. And Colonel Grossman worked with he worked with snipers in the military. And you talk about somebody in high stress who's right there, what they're doing. And that's exactly what they taught their special forces, is the 4 square. And they actually made us go through the whole process too. And it was just amazing that I use that to this day, that if I'm stressed, or even if I use it to try to stabilize my breath when I'm working out, or if I'm doing some calisthenics and so forth, try to just better my heart, I guess, right? But no, that's something I've been doing probably for about better half of 10 years, easily.
Wow.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I know that there's some resources and so forth that I should go ahead and highlight. I want to bring this up on screen. Let me go ahead and make these up a little bit better here, because there's definitely a ton of resources here in the community that can help us out, as well as that are available. And there you have all the different places that are available here in the Coachella Valley. I can hear somebody's school bell right now that's going off. I definitely missed those. But here are the different resources that are available that I want to make sure that everybody's aware of. And these are all accessible through the Student Assistance Program website as well, from what I understand.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
So yes, Sean, we do have a social emotional component in the DSUSD website that is packed and updated. I know Mr. Henry mentioned it last week, but just to kind of refresh the new viewers, that website does have different strategies, different videos, hands-on practice. There's mindfulness, anxiety, depression, and it even goes into like dividing it into grades. If you have an elementary student, a middle school student, high school student, and there's first parent support, staff support. So it really makes it easy for you to kind of look at what is it that you need or your student needs and trying to find the correct fit for them. So great resource.
It's definitely a great resource. No, I love that you guys have all those things available for our families and for us. I'm going to pull it up here. I'm having some issues with my computer today. I'm sorry about that. Always fun. But here we go. This is the website that I was pulling up, and maybe you guys can kind of walk us through here in regards to this social emotional wellness. And what do we have going on? Are these videos and so forth?
There is a plethora of resources available through this website. This is a wonderful starting point for addressing just about anything that's going on with your student, your child. And if you can't find it here, there are also a lot of links to community resources that are available throughout the Coachella Valley. As you're pulling up now, there's a lot of apps that are free to use that can help with reducing anxiety and mindfulness practices. It's a wonderful website, and I want to thank Ms. Block and everyone else that's had a hand in creating this, because, like I said, this is a wonderful starting point for securing, for helping your child.
No, I love that our district office and you talk about Sue Ann and so forth and her team have put all these resources available for everybody. It's just fantastic that we have this. And, when I was last at a school site, I was at Palm Desert. And one of the things that Mr. Zink wanted to do is he wanted to use one of his FTEs to bring on another person to be there full time. And Yadira, I'm assuming that's you. You're there now full time.
Yes, sir.
And I'm sure being there full time, and once we're in the physical sense, you're gonna have a constant like revolving door coming in and out of that office, because as we're coming back to schools, things are much different.
Yes, absolutely. And even before pre-COVID, I'm in the classrooms. So they don't have to go to the counseling department. They don't have to go up to the administration. I'm in the buildings. And so that kind of reduces to that stigma of I'm here for all the students. And it's not just me in the back of a portable or anything like that. I'm integrated and I'm part of the culture here as a support for everybody.
Okay, so we know that you primarily work with the students at Palm Desert High. Perry, maybe you could share who are the student groups that you primarily work with and so forth?
Well, I'm right now. I'm at my office is at Summit Horizon campus. So I, like Yadira, I have easy access to my students over here at the Alternative Education Complex, and I also am the Student Assistance Program counselor for Palm Desert. So if there is a substance use related incident over there, I get a referral, and so I'm back and forth. But and we have a student assistance program counselor attached to every campus within the Desert Sands Unified School District. So it's sort of a specialty niche, but I really, I love the fact that we're coming back to campus now and that I see students in the hallway. I'm excited about that. But I got to admit, I was a little bit anxious. I experienced some anxiety when I came back. And like we've all talked about, for me, I had to maintain, establish a routine and be mindful of what I was experiencing. And again, I know that these feelings, are going to be similar for a lot of the students that are returning to campus. And I just want to emphasize that you're not alone. You're not alone, that there are resources and people out here who care, that they'll help you walk through this. And anxiety, as we've talked about throughout this podcast, is a normal human experience. But if it does begin to interfere, that it's important that you reach out and talk with family, friends, or if necessary, outside support. And the one thing I want to emphasize too is in the realm of substance misuse, Monster, Red Bull, coffee. Try taking that out of your daily diet for a while and see if your levels of anxiety drop a little bit. It's caffeine.
It's funny you say that, and I'm going to come to you next, Elena. I want you to talk about what school site you work with and so forth. But it's funny you say that, take the coffee, the Red Bull, and so forth out. So yesterday I got up early to do my hike, and I was up late the night before because I got a 2-year-old, almost 2-year-old at home, and so forth. And I'll tell you, I loaded up the coffee. I want to say that definitely kept my heart rate going all day. It kept my sweat out here and kept my sweat here going, right? So I think I got to step back and take away the coffee. I am drinking water this morning rather than an iced tea. So I definitely did that. But Elena, maybe if you could share with the students that you directly work with and so forth.
Sure. So my site is La Quinta High School. Absolutely love it. So I work with students that are in general education, right? Providing groups. I also work with students in gen ed, whether they're in groups or individual counseling. I also work with students in special education that don't have counseling services on the IEP, and they may be in group as well. And then I also work with students that have counseling services on their IEP. So that's considered ERMs, right? So like Yadira and Henry, we actually do everything within the school as far as providing counseling services.
Okay. Wow, that's amazing. Chef Mary, anything for these awesome, amazing individuals that work for Desert Sands before we let them go?
In every episode, you always bring something back to yourself. And Perry, you just brought something up that just was like a bump in the head. It's because I get up the first thing in the morning and I load up with the strongest coffee ever. And I'm always thinking that it gives me jitters in the morning, and it didn't used to. And now I'm kind of putting the whole thing together and realizing that you just made an incredible point about how something that little can change your morning routine, because by the afternoon I feel pretty okay, but in the morning it's like this morning it's the same way. And I'm thinking I just slugged down this huge big cup of extra strong Italian roast, and I'm kind of like, so thank you for that. I mean, that's going to make me not do that tomorrow and see what changes. But I really appreciate everything you do, because as being a parent and a grandparent, I think I saw a lot of times where the life that you knew just was taken away from you. Even when I was at work, I was working Friday at 2:00, and at 4:00 I wasn't, and everything was just severed. And then you just walked away from it, and there was nothing to give you a warm fuzzy that it was ever going to come back. And so all the things that you're doing and all the things that we're talking about, I think make you understand how you're going to be able to move forward. So I really appreciate your time with us, and I hope we get to do this again.
No, I agree. I hope we get to do this again. And this is something that I would love to continue on a monthly basis. Maybe, we've highlighted it, 3 or 4 times just this month alone. I would love it if we could highlight it year round, so we could talk about all the available resources that we have for our families. And even though we may share it in September, it doesn't hurt to give a recap in December or something. We did the winter wellness, and then we have, we've been doing this all the month of May. I think it'd be ideal. And I'll definitely get in with Sue Ann and see if I can see Butters a little bit, see if we can make an appointment to get it on the schedule. So Chef Mary, I appreciate that. Yeah, this is something that we should be doing ongoing all the time. I've definitely used some things that you guys talk about daily in my life that I learned through trainings and so forth.
Yeah.
And what you share here is free, available to the public and so forth. I think that's fantastic. I do want to highlight that we do have some important phone numbers going along the ticker on the bottom there. Our department here shared with us the Suicide Prevention Lifeline number, Riverside University Behavioral Health for non-emergency phone line, as well as Safe House of the Desert. These are three main phone numbers that you definitely want to have available to you if you're experiencing things and so forth. Guys, anything else before I let you go?
Nope.
Well, I want to say thank you as well, to the both of you for keeping this classroom conversations running throughout the school year. This has been a wonderful supplement to what we do as far as providing information and providing resources to our students and our families. So thank you very much. And we look forward to the end of this school year, as well as sending congratulations out to the graduates, and also to starting next school year with a clean slate, so to speak. So
Absolutely.
Excellent. And just so you know that we've got some people watching, and they gave you a thank you and such a great team.
Thank you.
Thank you, Shannon.
Yeah, thank you, Shannon, for that. We greatly appreciate it. Well, guys, I thank you for taking the time to be with us. I'm going to go ahead and let you go. Chef Mary and I got a couple other things to discuss, and we're going to wrap up. But I want to say this has been one of the best 50 minutes I've spent all week. I've learned a lot, shared a lot of important information, and thank you very much for being with us. You guys have a great day.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Wow.
Bye.
Oh, let's see here. Mary, I love it when you always take away and learn something, pretty simple, that it made it simple for me to learn about.
I know. I mean, like coffee. It's like it's crazy because I don't normally have any issue with coffee, and lately I have, and I just blamed it and I changed brands. But now putting it all together, it made a lot of sense, and I was glad that Perry brought that up because that was one of the questions I had, because I think we may have different types of abuses, but some people just don't think about just basic food. Eating a lot of sugar, eating a lot of coffee, how that plays into this. But no, I would like to see us do this, because I think things are going to be changing, and they will continue to change for a while. And so how do we get through the changes? Because it's still all new.
Most definitely. And as we always do, we highlight the people who are watching us. One of our near and dear friends is watching us, Deputy Contreras. He's telling us all to have a great weekend.
How are you?
You gotta love that. Thank you, Rick. Yes, I am looking forward to the weekend. Had an amazing week, and we got the end of school coming up here. But Chef Mary, we're gonna have classroom conversations on Tuesday at 9 o'clock again. I'll be honest, I don't have anybody scheduled yet. So Desert Sands and our community partners, if you're watching right now, you want to be part of classroom conversations for Tuesday morning at 9, shoot me an email. Shoot me a message at Desert Weber. We'll communicate and we'll have you on. It'd be great to highlight some more of the great things that are going on at Desert Sands. But even if we don't get a guest, Mary, you and I could talk about all the great things going on. Just social media. Everybody shares, so it's easy to share.
Yeah, and there's lots of things we'll probably catch up on, because now school is coming to an end, and all the graduations are in place. And I mean, a lot of the media right now is doing, the month of May as mindfulness, and it's pretty interesting. They are the information that we share today within the school system is exactly what they're sharing outside the school system. Which I thought was pretty interesting, that how to practice actually centering yourself and how things are affecting people. So our school system is right on point.
Are you saying that our show is right on point too, because we're like Good Morning America, like you've been wanting us to be on?
Well, we may have to go to Oprah.
Okay, I'll go on Oprah. That's fine by me. Too funny. Right. So, Mary, I'll share with you before you head out. I got two things. Today at noon, I'm meeting up with our buddy Craig, and we're going to talk about how they have this amazing event coming up at Palm Desert, where they're celebrating graduation, and we're going to talk about how we can do that live. So Craig and I are going to be walking down El Paseo for the afternoon. That's why I'm kind of dressed down today, so we can walk up and down El Paseo, find the Wi-Fi hotspots, right? Wi-Fi
I see.
hotspot, so we can go ahead and have a nice live event there so we can highlight some great things that are coming up there. And then lastly, you'll love this. Shadow Hills High School, they found a way. Their senior class is going to have a dance. Hold on. Not a dance. They're going to have a function where they show up at the stadium and they're outside and they're playing music. It is not a dance. I'm sorry I said that, but they're going to be able to show up in a function, be a little bit dressed up, take some pictures. It's outdoors. They have a photo booth that is passed up, and they have the opportunity to do that. So they're doing that tonight. I actually had the, Mary Alexander, the ASB director over there. She invited me. I'm going to go over there. I'm going to do a live and highlight all the great things that they're doing over there at Shadow Hills. Definitely.
There's nothing like a prom and your prom dress and your prom date and making all the plans for that. I mean, I still have my prom pictures floating around here, and I can remember, the corsage, the little wrist corsage, and I think those are memories that I know some of the kids go, well, I don't really care, but you do care, and it's important. And then when you look back on them, the excitement of going shopping with your girlfriends and picking out the tuxedo, it's all part of what makes us happy, I think. It makes students happy. And, taking pictures. And I mean, I'm sure you remember your proms and your senior banquets and whatever.
Oh, yeah. And you got to love Facebook, how people go ahead and post them in his memories, and they pop up all the time. So I can't wait till the beginning of June when I'm going to see memories of my prom and back in 1995 and 96. So that'll be a lot of fun. Definitely.
Well, mine was in 1958, so I have you beat on.
I definitely saw some photos that you posted the other day. I love it when you post some photos from the past. Like, oh my gosh, look at Chef Mary there.
I have this friend of mine that I worked with in 1960, late 60s, and I finally found her. And I always wondered what happened to her. And I kind of found her, but I can't get to her. And then I found that crazy picture of us with that blonde hair like that, this big. And it just brought back just incredible, wonderful memories. And so I'm glad these kids are having this, because it's a good feeling. It makes you feel good to know that you had a prom and you had a prom date and you got your corsage and the boutonnieres.
Definitely. You know what? And I just looked in the comments here, Chef Mary. I see that there was a comment made by somebody that I'm going to make sure that we follow up into. And I see that Perry is behind scenes right now. And I'll make sure to bring you on, Perry, once we go off air. But, this is part of this, what we do. We make sure to present the information that it's available. And sometimes people go ahead and put a statement on there that they may need some assistance. So we're going to definitely do that. With that being said, guys, you can catch up with the Classroom Conversations with us on Tuesday at 9 o'clock. See who our mystery guests will be, or just see Chef Mary and I. But you guys have a great weekend. Chef Mary, I'll see you later.
Okay. Bye, Sean. Have a great weekend.
You too. Bye-bye.